Welcome back to Wichita's Biz That Is. I'm Tim Witzman, president of the Wichita Independent Business Association, with Alan Badgley, who's the assistant director at the Small Business Development Center here that's located at WSU. Alan, start off sort of with the mission of SBDC. What is the primary mission? What are you trying to accomplish?
It's fairly simply put, growing entrepreneurs. So that can be starting entrepreneurs or growing them larger, or improving their ability to do whatever it is they do.
Have people approached you, since that seems to be a new focus of GWDC and WSU and all? I mean, how much involved with some of that? That's what I hear anyway, that they're trying to move in that direction.
Well, we've been doing it since the beginning.
Yes, I know.
Guess. So I would say how that's changed for us, or what I see a trend in, is that over the last few years, we've become more, I call it proactive. We're trying to work, and we're doing more work with our what we call late stage 1 and early stage 2 businesses. And there's
better explain. Most people aren't going to get that.
I hear you. We have quite a few, a plurality, or a certain 10-20%, I don't know the exact number, that I've started calling them our $1 million club. They've got over $1 million in revenue. Mm-hmm. They have a different set of issues or challenges, and so we're doing more team consulting. We have Ross Jordan, who has a certification in export and international business. Mm-hmm. Elaine Hanna, who was with Mamtech, is working with us now, and she has a background in process refinement. I'm doing more of the financial part. I just received my certification in economic development, financial professional. Mm-hmm. So I'm working more on the finance portion. So we're focusing more on businesses that are probably 20 plus or minus employees up to 50. Mm-hmm. We have a couple of clients, one that has 143 employees, and so some that are fairly large from a small business micro point of view. So we're doing more focus in that arena. So I'm not sure if that's why some people are coming to us, or if it's the continued reputation. As we work with one and there's a success, then there's a lot of word of mouth that's going on as well.
Well, SBDC is one of the folks we partner with. We're part of the little consortium where information is shared. Also SCORE, because you two are the
Sure.
ones who are best with startups.
Yes.
So when people walk in the door and say, I'm thinking of joining, but they don't have a business yet, I said, well, there are a couple of people you need to talk to first.
There you go. Yeah.
So we send them over. I'm not sure if the public understands sort of where the growth is in employment. It's typically in the 50 to 500 companies. That's where you get about 106% of the growth. Working with that smaller is always a little dicey because there's a lot of churning. There's a lot of failure.
Sure. I call it the heavy lifters.
Mm-hmm.
When they're first coming in, now we have some that are very focused. They've got a very good background, and they come in and they need a specific assistance, and we work with them through mm-hmm. that, and then they're off and running. There are those that probably need a lot of work, a lot of refinement. They go to SCORE, they come to us. There's a variety of programs out there. Kaufman Center has a fast start program. So there's a variety of tools that can help them. And then once they've gotten through that, then probably 25% of those probably actually start a business.
Yeah, I don't know if people understand also the larger businesses typically shed employees.
Well, there's...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just as back in 2008, we had a grant where we worked with a variety of companies, and we had 19 companies that I got to do strategic planning with.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, really. And as they went through, we were being scored or judged or measured by their economic impact, which included their employment. Mm-hmm. And it was as we're coming in doing strategic planning, they're downsizing. It's like, well, how are you helping them? And they were going through that downturn in the economy. And when they came out of it, the bottom line was much improved because they got leaner and they got better at what they did, and then they started growing. And then as they did, they grew in a much safer fashion with the employment that they had.
Well, what I meant, a lot of them too, as they get larger, often it makes more sense, it's more efficient for them to go to equipment and fewer people because they tend to get higher wages in all the larger companies. And
Sure.
if you look at the Fortune 500 every year, I'm not sure there's a year where it hadn't happened where, as a collective, they have less employment the next year.
Right.
Whoever's in it. So this is a really important area to work in. You guys, some people have pushed for things like incubators. Have you any experience with that? Any thoughts on it?
I haven't been a part of an incubator.
I have. I've been in had one under me.
I've worked with some or others that have worked in them, and I would say if they're birthing the businesses, it's probably a great program. I think some of the challenges we've seen in the past is it becomes a possibility of a permanent residence for a business, and that's probably the biggest challenge is growing them out of there.
Yeah, and the other problem that we ran into is if you end up with a facility, with a building, there's pressure on you to fill it.
Right.
Regardless of whether it makes any sense or not.
Yeah.
And so I'm not as big on that because it's quite a bit of investment.
Yes.
And I think the kinds of things you do are probably a little bit more productive than that.
I hope so. I tell people at the Small Business Development Center we do three things. We do consulting, we do training, and then we do resource referral where we're connecting people. A lot of our folks can be in an incubator, whether or not they're in a physical office environment where there's multiples or not, they're still coming to see us, and within the seminars, they're connecting with a lot of others as well.
And we appreciate it, and we're going to stop for just a minute. We'll be right back with more Wichita's Biz That Is.